It's already happening, by the way.
Yeah,
People are using AI to write legal contracts and they're not using lawyers anymore. We're not going to have that job for that person anymore. If it's a job, good. Just get rid of shit jobs so humans aren't dumbed down to do them. Everyone should be an entrepreneur and everyone should be rich. Do it. Stop wasting time. Because you've got one life, you'll be dead soon. You don't want to be 90 lying there, I wish I'd started that business.
So here we are with Simon Squibb on AI McGarry. It's all about AI podcast. And this podcast is a little different to many because I try to bring a lot of education about artificial intelligence, AI, but I always blend it with topics that people don't normally associate it with. So we've had guests before who are world champions in jiu-jitsu. We've had Miss Universe on the podcast. We've had a dragon here as well. Piers, that you know, you've spoken to him as well. And I've been looking forward to this for a long time with you, Simon. So a very quick summary, really, of the journey you've been through. You had a terrible tragedy when you were 15. Your father passed away. You left home. You started your own gardening business out of survival. And also that was a great experience for you as well. At some point, you ended up going to Asia for a while, to Hong Kong. You ended up doing consulting. You ended up starting a business, sold that business, came back to the UK. You thought, why not, since you're a UK citizen? Thought about getting into politics for a while. Decided it's not for you because you're not a big liar. You're not a bit of a showman in that way. And then you just started to start making people's dreams come true. Is that a good summary of your life?
You covered 30 years of my life there. That's it.
We're done. Is there anything that I missed there which was monumental? Obviously, there's a lot of milestones, a lot of things that you went through. But are those really the highlights? Is there anything else you want to add in just before you start?
Be in trouble if I didn't mention that I met my wife in Hong Kong, and without her help, I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't be successful today without her. So probably just include her in that. But otherwise, you did a pretty good job.
And I know when we spoke last time, we were speaking about the things we have done in life, and we both have a lot of praise for our wives and the things they've done for us and the kind of pillars that they
It's an underrated thing in life where people are talking about, their pictures of all the different women they're with and all the things that they do. And I think there's something really special about just committing to one person, making the effort and having a very deep, cool, fun, close friendship relationship. And so it's something I'd like people to think about a bit more and push back against the other side where everyone's saying, have lots of partners, and the Tinder generation kind of like just swipe left, swipe right. There's plenty of more fish in the sea and people don't make enough effort in their relationships. Yeah, I think it's something I do like to talk about. If people want to have a happy life, make a bit of an effort with your relationships. Pretty straightforward, common sense, but people don't think about it much these days.
It's funny because in the car with my team today, we were talking exactly about this. What does unconditional love mean? Can you love somebody that you don't like, for instance? And, when someone is able to describe why they love someone, is it then really an unconditional love? Because there are conditions to that love.
I think partnerships are not unconditional love. There are conditions, we don't treat each other with respect, and we don't do things we didn't agree to do. Have an affair, for example. Some people don't mind that. If you've agreed it, that's fine. But I think there's conditions. But I have a 7-year-old son. Unconditional love, one way, by the way. I have unconditional love for him, but he does not have unconditional love for me. Right? There are conditions, and I think that's kind of an interesting thing. I never really understood what unconditional love was until I had a child. So it's just it's actually a different thing. Anyway, just a small point, but I think the definition. Yeah.
I've got a 9-year-old as well. I kind of know what you mean.
Yeah.
If we tell him not to have a sweet, his love goes away very quickly.
Oh, totally. Yeah, exactly. And a funny story about how to demonstrate unconditional love. A friend told me a story about how, if his wife was in front of him, she was about to get hit by a train, and he could see it, and all he had to do was like push her out of the way, and he'd get hit by the train. He'd have a 1-second hesitation, right? But like, oh, you're going to get hit by the train. Oh, and then he'd be like, oh, God, I didn't, But if it's your kid, you wouldn't be like, oh, you jump in front of the train. And that is the slight difference with unconditional love. It's like, I will die right now to save my son. With my wife, I need a little bit of time to think about it. just at least 10 minutes, just have a little debate with myself before I would say yes or no to that.
Change the algorithm so she doesn't hear this.
Yes. No, she doesn't really listen to my podcast, so it's like.
So I think love is really a great segue into what you do, really. Because I guess, when you're going through the streets, when it's raining, when it's cold, whatever the weather, you must hear many dreams which don't make a lot of sense, or dreams which sound a little bit naive. And I guess for us, we have a bit more experience in business. We sometimes know if a dream has real legs to stand on. I guess there needs to be a little bit of compassion, a little bit of love for people. And I guess it's not really about the result, right? It's about getting people to go and try things out. When you come into that, what's the best dream you've heard so far in this journey? You must have heard thousands of dreams by now.
I think a dream that links to a satisfying life is the dreams I love the most. I never judge someone's dream. I mean, you say something there that I guess is true. I can hear someone's idea and I can make an assessment whether or not it's a good business. But I'm looking at it through the lens of what would be a good business for me. So if someone says to me they want to open up a coffee shop, well, I've actually done that. I know how hard it is, how many moving parts there are, how hard it is to scale, how much finance is often involved if you want to scale it, how many hours you have to put in. So for me, I'll be like, my instant reaction would be, oh, that's not a good dream because X, Y, and Z. Yeah. But that person, for them, it may well be perfect. I think it's important when I tell myself when I listen to people's dreams, it's the best thing we can ever do for someone is just listen to their dream and try to help them with that dream. That doesn't mean to say you can't give feedback or advice or an opinion, but I think it's important not to instantly say, well, that won't work, because our coffee shops aren't very scalable. And you've got Starbucks over there, which is shit, by the way. But, the point is, like people will always every business I've ever launched, if I ask enough people, there'll be people telling me how bad it is. So it doesn't mean they're right. So I personally think what's important is you allow someone the freedom to say what their dream is. And I don't particularly have a favorite. I've probably done the biggest human survey on the planet right now. I've asked over 2,000 people what their dream is so far. And just the other day, I asked someone who was working at a coffee shop what her dream was. And her eyes came alive, like a little light came on, where she started to describe that she wants to help people learn to grow food. So that's what she wants to do. And so, is it a scalable business? Well, you could argue there's plenty of brands that are selling food in a box to your home that you can make. So yes, but she doesn't need it to be a scalable business. It needs to be something that she enjoys doing. If she just helps one person a day grow food, then great. Sometimes as entrepreneurs, we get wrapped up in everyone wants to be Elon Musk. Well, not everyone wants to be Elon Musk. Yeah. Some people just want to have a little business, a little YouTube channel that maybe you can watch and learn to grow a carrot at home. And it's fun then to show your kids a carrot growing. And does it really need to be $1 billion company? And I think that's a little bit where entrepreneurship needs to chill out a bit. And take a chill pill. I don't know what, entrepreneurship is a bit misunderstood.
Not every business has to be a unicorn business, employs thousands of people.
I think it's providing something for someone to do that they enjoy each day that pays the bills. To me, that's a win. Most people are doing jobs they hate. They might be earning more money than they need, so they spend it on shit they don't need. I think it's just better to build something you enjoy doing and hopefully make money from it to cover the bills.
Look, I guess life is a journey, right? You might have a dream today, you end up accomplishing it, and then you end up changing, have another dream. I really wanted to ask you this. Are you living your dream at the moment? And has your dream changed recently? What was it before and what is it now?
Well, it's an interesting thing. I think this is going to sound a bit woo-woo, but I think everyone actually has a core purpose. And it goes back to we used to live in tribes, right? So we used to live in tribes of average of 5,000 people. And within those tribal structures, we all had a role to play. Right? Everyone had a different personality, a different skill set. So I think everybody on this planet has a role to play within the Earth ecosystem, right? So, but we're not really given a chance to explore what that might be now for lots of reasons. The school system puts us on a conveyor belt, right? So it's getting an A is success. Not enjoying what you do every day, getting an A. So that's school. When you're young, already you're taught that being successful means an A. It doesn't mean enjoying your day at school. Right. So I think that there's a disconnect between people's core purpose and what they're actually doing. What you asked me, is this my dream? What I realized when I look at my life, 15 years old, I had this awful situation happen to me. I was forced to start a business. I couldn't get a job. So I started a company and I didn't know anything about starting a company. School had taught me nothing about this, how to sell, how to build a brand, how to hire people, how to collect money, how to do a garden. None of it was taught to me. What I realized though is humans are incredible. And if you move from want to need, if you don't just want it but need it, you can achieve anything. So I needed to make money. Otherwise I was going to probably starve, right? So I think what I'm getting to here is, I'm just speeding this up a bit for you, is, okay, do a gardening company because I've got no choice. I start a business, then I start another business, then I start another business, then I start another business. And eventually I make it and I have enough money. The last two companies that I started, a company called Nest, which invests in startups, and a company called Fluid, which help people grow their businesses. So both of them, it turns out, good companies, successful companies, were helping people with their businesses. But Fluid was helping and you paid a fee. And Nest was helping, we took equity. So now I'm doing Help Bank and I help people for free. I take nothing, no equity, no capital, nothing from people, right? So it's just an evolution of what I've always been doing. right? Now as I've got richer, I can do more. So I can spend £1 million on helpbank.com, provide a platform for people to go and get help on, right? I can do that now.
Yeah.
But I couldn't do that before. I had to charge before.
Yeah.
And then eventually I could do equity, and now I don't have to charge people. But really, I'm just helping that 15-year-old me. What I'm getting to is, I think if people look at their lives, so I spoke to someone the other day on the train, what's your dream? They tell me their dream is to have their own catering business, right? So what are you doing now? They're working in a catering business. So they know exactly how it all works, but they just haven't done the next step of starting their own business. So people often are kind of, if they look at their job, you'll find that they're doing something that is related to what they're meant to be doing, but it's just not for themselves or in control of it themselves most of the time.
Makes sense. I was going to ask you this as well, because, going through that traumatic experience when you're 15, it must have instilled in you something. If you had somebody to help you, if you had a mentor,
of course.
And that day you didn't know what you're going to eat next day.
Yeah.
Usually in humans, we tend to have people who are funny because they had difficult backgrounds, and people who have this immense urge to help other people because they had a difficult beginning. So I wanted to ask you that as well, and you've kind of covered it without me even asking, which is great.
I think you need pain. People will say, people don't pay attention. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
The truth is, you need pain to pay attention. You need pain to pay attention.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you have pain, you will do it.
I don't know if you heard in the recent conference for NVIDIA, the CEO of NVIDIA, Jensen, he was
They're my
asked,
sponsor, by the way, so this is a plug.
Perfect.
They're literally my sponsor.
I didn't even know.
Yeah, my partner at the moment.
And they, he literally said, look, the thing that I wish upon everybody is pain. I wish that you experience severe pain, so that you're able to have the necessity.
I actually think the harder the pain, the better for you.
I think so as well. Yeah.
And if you go back to our original kind of DNA, our original structure, we wake up in the morning and we go hunting. There was no fridge. There was no food brought to you in your cave. This is making you weak. You're meant to get up and go out and hunt. You're meant to feel the elements. Being in the rain with your friends hunting is exciting. But if I tell you to stand out in the rain all day, you'll be like, no, I don't even want to go to the office.
Yeah.
Pain is good. Of course, you want to limit certain types of pain. Physical pain is never a good idea.
Yeah.
But I think mental pain is really important. That's why when people retire, they often die not long after.
Yeah.
Because they don't have any mental pain anymore. Yeah. You need it to keep yourself alive.
You mentioned something really key just a few minutes back around the fact that people are doing jobs they don't enjoy. I think I've been in times where I've been living my dream, but in jobs sometimes where there are days where I don't do something I like every minute of the day.
Of course not. That's impossible.
So this is important as well, just to set the right expectations with people, because we don't want to set up an Instagram perfect picture life of living a dream.
There's no utopian life. No.
There are days, right, that you're going to hate trying to make that dream come true. You don't know how to pay the bills. You don't know how to scale it.
But I had to leave my son this morning crying. He wanted me to play with him.
Yeah.
But I committed to coming on this podcast this morning. And I committed to doing an event this afternoon. So I have pain and joy in equal measure.
Yeah.
And I think the key, though, for me is I tell him I'm going to go and help people today.
Yeah.
Right. And then he understands that's what he has to do later, because kids don't do what you say, they do what you do.
Yeah.
Right. So each element has pain. Right. Leaving my son this morning was painful. Part of me is like, I'm just going to cancel everything and just spend the day with you, mate. Because you're not going to be 7 again tomorrow. This age today, you won't be tomorrow. So, but I think we have to go through pain, especially if we have a purpose.
Yeah.
Going through pain is much easier when you have a purpose, right? If it's just to make money, that's when people, I think, have problems. Pain becomes more difficult if it's just about making money, because money won't reduce the pain.
Exactly. The journey will make you into a better person,
Totally.
Sense of accomplishment, etc. I think it's always funny, the interactions between, happiness, being in love, these things are feelings, right? They're not always going to be present. So if you have a really clear goal that you're going towards, then you will pass through all of that in order to get to your goal, and you'll be thankful for it later.
Yeah.
So it's just something, I get a lot of questions around this as well. Oh, I'm not enjoying what I'm doing. I'm not feeling like I'm in my element, but is it every day? Has it been like that for a long time?
A lot of the time it's your own fault as well.
Yeah.
It's about framing. I remember one of my first companies, we people will laugh at this because it's old school. We did a mail out, right? Where we post things to people to promote our business. It's one of the ways we used to promote our businesses before social media.
Yeah.
And I basically hired 2 interns to come and help to do this mail out. And they were basically taking labels with addresses on it and sticking it on envelopes. And it was really interesting. One of the interns was complaining, oh, this is so boring. I'm sticking labels on these envelopes. God, I'm putting stuff in the envelopes. This is so boring. This is so boring. This is so boring. The other intern was like, wow, I just noticed all the addresses for the companies that run consumer brands are all based in this one area in London and this other. It's so fascinating to see where people are, what offices they're in and why, and the demographic breakdown. And I just Googled this person and they just about to sell their company. And basically they took the whole experience of labeling as a chance to learn and realize what was going on and all these things. And I think that's kind of how it is. Some people are so busy complaining about doing the label and the envelope, they're not realizing the opportunity of all the learning they can be getting from the experience.
Yeah, you reached a key point there as well. Like for some of the corporates that I was grateful enough to run, some of them very large, one thing that I learned from some of them is the optimal state to be in is curiosity. If you're always striving for the happy state, that's dangerous because it's a feeling. It's
fleeting.
It's fleeting, right? Yeah. But if you're always curious, it doesn't matter what state you're in, you're always going to be searching for answers. You're always trying to find patterns. You're trying to find the interest or the interesting part or the beautiful part in the mess.
Totally.
Curiosity, would you agree, is the optimal state to be in? Is there another state which you think is better?
I think question everything. That's curiosity is part of that.
Yeah.
But I like questioning everything.
Having the courage to ask questions.
Yeah, and not accepting what the media tell you or what anyone tells you, including me. I think it's important to just be curious is part of it, but just reviewing everything all the time.
Yeah.
And not accepting what you're being told and not looking at it as conspiracy theory, but just is that right? Is this really the way I'm meant to live? Am I really meant to go to university and then get a job and then buy a house and then get a pension and then retire at 65? Is that the way I'm meant to live? Question it.
Yeah.
Is it right for you? Maybe it is.
Yeah.
But question it.
Talking about questions, I did ask followers, what to ask you. And one question that came through is, should everybody be an entrepreneur?
Yes.
Is there space for that, for everybody to have their own business?
Definitely.
Let's walk through that a little bit. How does it work?
I don't know why this is hard for people to comprehend. Yeah. Everyone should be an entrepreneur and everyone should be rich. Entrepreneurship, maybe it's got a bit of abused as a word. People say to me, and I actually get hate for this, by the way, this question you're asking. It's like, everyone's going to be an entrepreneur, Simon. Well, who's going to do all the shit jobs? That was the argument for keeping slaves.
I was about to ask you that as well.
Right. Yeah. So I think there's a real issue here. People say to me, Simon, there's too many entrepreneurs. Everyone wants to be an entrepreneur. No, there's too many people in jobs they hate. There's too many people not doing a job they enjoy every day, not making a difference. That's actually the problem, not too many entrepreneurs. And so when I hear people saying, there's too many entrepreneurs, I kind of go into conspiracy theory mode. Of course, your boss doesn't want you to be your own boss.
Of course.
So they're not incentivized to tell you the truth. They'll be complaining about how hard it is, but they won't give up their equity, will they? So who else is giving you this noise? Well, your friends that want you to come out at the weekend, that want you to get drunk on a Friday with them, that want you to smoke all week, doing shit you shouldn't be doing, because they don't want you to not do that with them. So who's actually telling you the truth? Should everyone be an entrepreneur? Let's just be clear. There's 8 different types of entrepreneurs, right? There's introverts, there's extroverts. There's 8 different types of doctors. There's probably more than that. There's hundreds of different doctors, hundreds of different types of lawyers, right? Entrepreneurship is not one particular profile. Entrepreneurship can take many forms. My boilerplate for entrepreneurship is owning your time. And if you do entrepreneurship right, it's not selling your time, because it's not scalable to sell your time. If you're working in a job where you're selling time, it's not scalable. It's not. You have to own equity where you work or own equity in a company you own.
For somebody who is in that job and they've got bills to pay, they have an overdraft, they have people that they are responsible for, and they would love to set something up, but they're just scared to. What do you think are the best next steps in order to do that?
People in their 90s were asked what they regretted in their life. They didn't regret the thing they did. They regretted the thing they didn't do. So if you've got an idea, then by the way, you're ahead of most people, because most people haven't even got the breathing room to come up with an idea. They're too busy in fight and flight. They're just trying to make the bills. They haven't even got, the brain doesn't let them have ideas. They're in fight or flight. If you actually have an idea, you're already one step ahead of most people because you're out of fight or flight. Fucking do it. Do it. Stop wasting time, because you've got one life. You'll be dead soon. You don't want to be 90 lying there, I wish I'd started that business. I wish. Do it. If it fails, you can get the fucking job back. Right? Just do it. If you've got no kids, it is a lot easier. Right? But if you've got kids, my thing is, a lot of people tell me, can't do my dream. I've got kids. I've got a responsibility. Now, I've got kids, so I understand it. I understand the unconditional love. We talked about it earlier. But the truth is, that kid's going to watch you do a job you hate, and they're going to copy you later.
Exactly.
They're not going to go for it. They're not going to risk it. They're going to do their dream. So do you want your kid to live like that? They will follow you. They will copy you. The 0 to 7 years, whatever your kid sees you doing, coming home, complaining about your job every day, they'll do the fucking same. So inspire them. Go out there and do something that makes a difference. Yes, it might fail, but you fucking tried.
Yeah.
And it makes you more interesting at dinner parties anyway.
I mean, when we talk about setting an example, do you feel sometimes there's a massive weight on your shoulder in order to set that example for people? Because you're trying to make people's dreams come true, getting them to come out of their caves, think differently. We have to live as role models if we have a dream, right? We have to live by our dream and the objectives that we have. How much weight do you feel on your shoulders in that respect?
I don't really feel any weight on my shoulders. I feel I've set out a promise to help people and not charge them.
Mm-hmm.
I've set out, I'm not a perfect human being, so I've not said I'm perfect, and I've not pretended to be anything that I am other than I am.
Yeah.
So I don't feel any weight. I feel every single day I get up, I jump out of bed, I'm like, right, let's do what we said we're going to do today. We're going to help someone start a business. We're going to give people the tools they need for free, and I'm going to get money to give out to people through sponsorship, through partnership, through the videos doing well, and I'm going to give that money away. So everything I said I'm going to do, I do.
Yeah.
And some days I do it better than others. Some days I'm tired and I don't do as much as I want to do. Other days I do more than I expected.
Yeah.
And as long as I get up every day and do it, I don't feel any weight. Sometimes with some people that we are helping, I guess, I feel a sense of I've got to help them. And drawing the line how much help you give people and how much they actually take initiative and do it themselves is a struggle sometimes, because I think people do sometimes expect you to do it for them. Yeah. So that's a little bit of a balancing act where we can't do it for them. I can't run the business for them. I can't get out of bed for them and go make it happen every day. They still have to do it themselves. So that's a struggle. Where's the line of helping and too much help?
Yeah.
Frankly, it's the same with your kid. Do you give them everything they want because you love them, or do you say no to something so they learn the balance of like going out and earning it for themselves, right? Yeah. So that's the only responsibility I feel. There is another element. When you become quite big on social media, there's a bit of pressure on you to be perceived as not making any mistakes, right? So I know plenty of entrepreneurs, and maybe I'll pick on someone like Gary Vee, right? Gary Vee launched an NFT project that flopped.
Yeah.
So now everyone, will say, oh, look, he made millions and everyone else lost, and your brand gets damaged, right? Yeah. But I look at it like he tried something. He's still doing it.
Yeah.
He hasn't given up on it. He hasn't abandoned the project and put the money in his pocket, and I think to myself, like, with all sincerity, he tried something. I think that people sometimes have too high expectations. They say, never meet your heroes, right? Sometimes people have too high expectations on the people that they're following, right? I have my flaws. Mm-hmm. And I think it's important that as a social media influencer, like you just said there, we don't want the perfect life. I think it's important that people don't expect too much of me.
Yeah.
I have days where I am tired and I can't help everybody.
Yeah.
So, for example, I don't reply to DMs on in my social media.
Mm-hmm.
People get really upset with me. Read your DMs. I'm like, look, if you want my help, you can go to the doorbell I've set up. You can pitch your dream, and I'll pay for it to be edited and uploaded for you for free to 9 million people. You can go on helpbank.com, which I spent a lot of money building, where there's 185,000 people on there that will help you in addition to me, in addition to AI.
Yeah.
I can't believe we've got this far into an AI podcast and not talk about AI.
We will soon, yeah.
But the point I'm making is, like, I've set up systems that allow me to stay sane and help people. So when people get upset with me that I'm not replying to their DMs, I'm like, that's not the way I help. And I think people should learn this. If they want help from someone, they should learn how that person helps.
Yeah.
So one of the things about Helpbank that I'm really proud of is that it's an easy place for people to go and help. It's not just where you can go and get help. It's made it easy for people to help people.
Yeah.
Right. And I think a lot of people are too busy getting angry at the things that certain people aren't doing instead of like realizing, well, this is how that person helps, and being within the system that they operate.
I mean, the reason why I brought that topic up is, there is a sense of compassion that you need to have when you're trying to achieve a dream, right? There are days where you're not going to get up every day and go stampeding towards it.
Of course not.
There are days where you're not going to be able to fully help how people would expect. I think people just need to sometimes just, understand that it is a long journey. Yeah. It's a bit of an oxymoron. Life is short, life is long. It's a marathon. You can see it in many different ways. But it is important, I think, to have a bit of self-compassion, because there are many people that have dreams that self-destruct because they made a mistake, or because they went down the wrong path, or because they went out drinking with their friends when they shouldn't have, or whatever how small or how big the mistake was. They use that to sabotage themselves in order to say, oh, I'm not worthy of my dream. I'm not going to go after it. And I think that happens with everyone. And I wanted just to ask you that question as well, because I want people to see that there is a little bit of that in everyone, even in someone who's highly motivated like yourself. So that's why I want to talk about it. Compassion, I think, is important. You got to be kind to yourself. There are days that you're not going to have the strength to chase your dream. Yeah, would you agree?
Completely agree.
Mm-hmm.
People have to be kind to themselves first before they can be kind to others.
Yeah.
There's a lot of self-sabotage going on. Again, subconscious self-sabotage. Yeah. So whatever happened to you when you were 0 to 7 in your life is in there as belief systems, right?
The psychologist.
Yeah, the psychology of your life is that's why I go back to earlier, like what your dream is might make you happy, but might not make me happy.
Yeah.
That's why people got to be careful criticizing other people's dreams.
Yeah.
But I think the compassionate part is really interesting because a lot of people, what I see is most businesses fail because people wanted too much too quick. And if you look at all this influencers, I've been doing this influencer thing now for 5 years. Mm-hmm. I have seen people blow up and go just as quick. Mm-hmm. We don't need to name any names. You probably can think of someone right now that became massive and then like they're falling off the planet, bad brand, no one wants anything to do with them. Yeah. I think the faster you rise, sometimes the quicker you fall. I took 15 years to make my first serious money out of a company, 15 years. And I think because I took 15 years, I'm stable once I got it. If I got it in 1 year or 2 years, I think I wouldn't have been stable. I would have probably wasted it all.
Yeah.
And I think social media as well. It's taken me 5 years to become big on social media. 2 videos a day, every day for 5 years. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that creates a foundation, discipline in itself. So I think a lot of people listening, you need to be kind to yourself. Totally agree. I think I hate to use the word patient, but you need to just accept that you don't actually want to rise too quick.
Yeah.
If you grow, I know that startup land is like growth hacking and you become massive overnight. But again, you think of all the brands that have become massive and then gone. WeWorks, massive, pretty much dead, bad brand.
Yeah. I
was just looking, their share price is 99% dropped.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
By the whole thing for £30 million now.
Yeah.
So, everyone was talking about WeWorks nonstop. Oh my God, 57 billion valuation, right? Oh, Simon, you should do WeWorks. You should just copy WeWorks. I'm like, no, that's not my plan.
Yeah.
Oh, but you'll be worth 57 billion like them if you just do WeWorks. I'm not doing WeWorks. It's not the time for me to do that model, right? I'm patient. And I think that, and I'm getting old and I'm still patient.
I think Simon. You're looking good.
I feel like, I definitely feel like I've got a lot of experience at this point and I still want to be patient.
I can relate to that story. There was a time when I was quite young. I had a lot of success within a short space of time. And there are definitely ways that I acted and things that I said that I do regret until today. And I think there is a certain wisdom in that. It's good not to grow too quickly. Over time, as you become an entrepreneur, you're chasing your dream in some way, there are things that you are going to learn along the way. If the first time that you hold £1 million in your hands, that's a different feeling to 1,000. Do you go out and splash it? Do you go and invest it? There needs to be a mindset there. And like you said, foundations are really important. And we were lucky to have good wives to kind of help us out throughout those journeys as well. So one thing I don't know if you're allowed to talk about this or you want to talk about this, but one thing that I noticed is, are you religious in any way? Do you believe in God in some way, a higher spirit? Or
I love the Ricky Gervais answer to this. I like things that can be proven, and so I'm not religious, but I'm not religious either.
Yeah.
So I guess you call it is it a passive atheist, right? So, and I love this. Like if you believe in a God, anyone listening now believes in a God. There's over 3,000 gods. So I just believe in one less God than you. But don't get me wrong, I definitely believe there's something that we don't know. I'm just not willing to downgrade it instantly to one particular thing.
Of course, yeah.
So I have a theory in my head that this is probably a computer simulation. And so then I think, well, who's controlling the simulation? Are we a speck of sand on a beach that we call the universe, but to everybody else it's a speck of sand on the beach, right? Or is this literally a computer simulation by someone 500 years from now that decided to recreate this and see what happened? So I love all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And I love thinking about all of that stuff. And I actually enjoy my life because I treat it like a game, like a video game, and have fun with it. I'm cautious of religion per se, a bit like I'm cautious of politics.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, in the blue party or the red party, there's benefits to both parties. There's good and bad in both parties. There's good people and bad people in both parties. I think same with religion. And I'm really sick and tired of things that divide us.
Yeah.
Like humans, we're meant to come together and help each other, but we're not, because we're busy complaining about, oh, you support Liverpool and I support Arsenal. Well, I fucking hate you then.
Yeah. Can't
You
talk
know,
to each
you're
other.
Labour, I'm Conservative. I fucking hate you then.
Yeah.
You know, like I just want things that unite us, right? So sharing a meal together, we all need to eat, right? You know, helping someone that's having a tough week. Well, we've all had tough weeks, haven't we? You know, I just really want us to start thinking about like what unites us, not what divides us. And I can't help but think, you know, without doubt, it's proven anyway, religions cause wars, right? Most of the wars in the world today have some religious connotation to them. And I just don't like it. And I don't want to be a part of it.
I'm Christian. I've been Christian for a long time. And I did go through struggles where I had similar ideas, you know, on the fact around, okay, religion divides people. One thing I've noticed over time is it's really the man-made aspects of religion that does that. It's when a person tries to, you know, say, oh, I've been anointed by God and I'm going to do this, please follow me, but it's actually for another ulterior motive. And sometimes when people take religion to their own advantage, it does create these divisions. It does create these horrific situations where sometimes there are even wars. So anyway, one day for us to discuss over a coffee.
Yeah, it's an interesting subject. I feel a lot of the time religion causes more problems than. I mean, I've been to the Vatican. I've listened to the stories of what happened, you know, in history, and you know, I just feel like personally, if you follow the basics of Christianity, the 10 Commandments, they're pretty good rules, aren't they?
Yeah,
it's fine. Don't cheat, don't kill, don't. Okay, great, they're good rules.
Yeah.
You know, like I just think when sometimes these things are taken to like, okay, well, we're going to wipe out everyone that isn't Christian, you know, or extremes are taken around religion to further, say, kings and queens' goals in history. I get a little bit like, I don't want religion to be used against people.
Yeah.
It should unite us, but if it doesn't, I better stay out of it.
Yeah, and I think usually there's ulterior motives then when that happens.
Of course.
So this is an AI podcast. We are eventually going to get into
this. Is really me, by the way, and people might think this is an AI version of me.
No. And this is, I have an AI avatar myself as well, so this is me.
Well, you're going to take all my voice now and recreate me. Now you've got all this content.
We will actually, yeah.
Yeah. I
we couldn't find the content anywhere else.
Do
we had to
not
create
accept,
it ourselves.
yes.
One thing I wanted to ask you as well is, you know, in a lot of the videos, the long form videos you've done on HelpBank, where people are educating others on topics, the topic of AI comes up almost every single time.
Of course.
What is your take on AI? What are people looking for in terms of answers? What do they need to know about AI that maybe we could discuss here and I can give some answers to?
Well, I'm not an expert on AI. So let's just put that out there, first of all. I wonder who is, because it's evolving so quick.
Yeah.
Maybe those at the very, very close coalface of it. I guess I take a pragmatic view to AI, which is, you know, the line I like is AI won't take your job. Those using AI might. I think that's true.
Yeah.
So again, if you look at history, those controlling the machines would take the jobs of those that were the machines. And I think that's going to happen. So I would go as far as to say, if you're a doctor going in to be a doctor today, to learn to be a doctor, 8 years from now, when you come out of your doctor training, you'll probably be working for an AI company of some sort. Why would you trust a doctor who's fallible like a human when you can have a machine that's less fallible, not infallible, but will probably make less mistakes than you? Yeah. Right, 4 out of 10 doctors make a mistake with diagnosis, right? Yeah. So why wouldn't you let a machine with cloud computing telling you everyone's got a certain thing going on in an area to tell you what's probably wrong with you and be more accurate? Yeah. Of course you're going to use the machine. Even though we all think we need a human. If anyone's been to a GP in England, it's like they're seeing 35 people a day. They haven't got time to have a chat with you.
The last time I went to a GP, he actually Googled my symptoms.
Probably. Exactly, yeah. And so
that did it for me.
So that's what I mean. And I think it's just accepting that this is hopefully a really useful tool for humanity. There seems to be two sides to what's going on out there in people's perception. One side is, well, useful tools that can help me do my job better now. And yes, maybe in the future we'll replace this job and I'll just do something else. A lot of people do think that it's a bit like any evolution in human history. New jobs have been found around the technology. Yeah. So in other words, technology has created new jobs. It's not necessarily replaced people. I actually think the opposite. I think that there is a high chance that this is going to take away so many jobs. There is not enough new jobs to catch up. right? The evolution is so big and the jobs it's going to take are so sophisticated. Let's say being a lawyer, being an accountant, the jobs that are left are probably the ones that are cheaper to do by humans. Ironically, putting cans on shelves, cleaning floors.
Yep.
The jobs that no one actually wants are so cheap for humans to do it. It's probably not economical at this stage, for a while at least, to have a robot with AI doing it. So it will be the jobs like fitting your boiler will still be done by a human.
Yeah.
Because there's no standard system for a boiler being installed. So there's no machine that can go in there with AI and replace it right now. So I think all the sophisticated jobs are going to, accountants, lawyers, all going to be gone. And you're going to use AI to do it. It's already happening, by the way.
Yeah,
people are using AI to write legal contracts and they're not using lawyers anymore. That's already happening today. I think, and one of the reasons I'm so motivated about what I'm doing, we need to help people find something else to do. And I think that something else to do is simply something you enjoy to do. So it's making your hobby, let's call it gardening, painting, whatever it is, make it into a viable thing that keeps you busy. Now, initially you're going to need money because it's going to be a while before we see universal basic income. But universal basic income is not going to solve the problem for society because it's just going to be COVID, basically.
Correct.
The 80% pay that COVID, some people got paid, meant people were sitting at home all day going mad. More mental health crisis shot up during that time because humans need something to do.
And funny segue there. So because of COVID, the expectation for having psychologists, therapists, etc., has gone up by 8 times in the UK.
Yeah.
And other countries gone up by more or less 8 times on average. But there aren't enough therapists in order to do that. So one of the things I'm building, which is launching next year, is an AI therapist. So that people can access it 24/7,
makes sense.
anytime, right? And they'll be able to talk to it like we're talking
And there's
right
people
now.
that can't afford normal therapists. So straight away it's going to be useful because people can't afford a therapist.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
therapists, frankly, I actually see a therapist. They're expensive and they're actually hard to book.
Especially
good ones.
And some of them sleep in your session as well.
Well, that's it. But the thing is, I think the exciting thing is that if all goes well, humans will be free. Right now, I see many humans as slaves.
Yeah.
They're put into a system, the education system, to come out the other end, to work for big companies and give up on their purpose and just work a job to pay a mortgage to one day retire when they're close to death.
Yeah.
So I actually think it's a chance for humans to be free. But we also have to be very, very cautious. Like, I think not only the technology needs to have regulation and rules, in my opinion, I also think that people need to be made aware of it. Like the Ocado delivery driver delivered my food this morning to my house. I want him to know that in 5 years' time, he probably won't have a job.
Yeah.
Right? So he needs to start thinking now about a side hustle.
So
but no one wants him to have a side hustle, by the way, because people want their food delivered.
Correct.
So they're not telling him.
It's very important who you listen to, especially now. And you've hit a really important point, which is why my mission for many, many years now has been to just talk about AI, sometimes in topics which are unexpected, like this one, in speeches, all over the world, etc. I do think that this is different. This is not going to be like when horses were overtaken by cars, and there was a new industry created, lots of more jobs were created. This is a technology that can actually do what we do for the first time ever. And there are humanoids now which are being produced, which are doing fantastic things as well. So that's why when I started to converse with you, we started to share our dreams and our missions. I saw a really huge alignment around the fact that you're trying to make people think differently, getting them prepared to be more creative and to follow their dreams. And I'm trying to educate people of this new technology that's coming, which I've developed my whole life. I've worked in the biggest companies in the world that develop this. I've seen things which are not out yet. So that's why I thought it was a great, it was a great time for us to meet and talk to each other. And I will say publicly as well, I've offered you my own development team. I own a company in Slovakia, which has developers for AI and different kinds of software. And I'm very happy to fund somebody's dream, to build somebody's dream front to back.
Yeah, I really appreciate that offer.
So take me up on this offer. We'll
we
have
will.
to figure out how to do that for a competition or something.
By the way, we're going to solve any problems that come, even ones we're not even aware of yet around AI, by working together.
Yeah.
In general, me and you working together is one element. But I did a post the other day of a young man that wanted to start a business, and people in the comments funded him. I think community effort to deal with problems is the solution to a lot of our problems.
It is.
So I would say 1 + 1 = 11, right? If you've got the same mission as me, I want to build a business that has value, don't get me wrong. And I want my business to make money so I can give that money away. Yeah. But I also don't mind. I spoke to the government the other day. I'm like, I have a profitable way of helping people start a business. Why would you not copy me? You've got shitty job centres that no one wants to go to, costing millions every month, but not really giving people what they need in life. It's a shitty job they don't want.
Exactly.
Why not copy my model? And like, well, we can't do this, we can't do that, regulations, rules, blah, blah, blah. So they don't want to innovate. So we just have to do it ourselves. But I don't mind if someone copies me.
Yeah.
You know, I don't mind if someone copies what I'm doing.
I think it's more of an augmentation. I think one thing I really want people to see by offering this is to see, look, AI is available to everybody. It's not just select few. Anybody can use it to make their dreams come true. And also to show the capabilities. What can AI do? If you have an idea, how can it augment you? How can it be a mentor? How can it help you do things? So, in this project that we end up evolving someday, we will pick a dream, make it come true, hand the keys to the person so that they live their dream and start making cash with that AI system that we've built. And, just open people's eyes. Anybody can do it.
Interesting thing today, I was looking at a retail shop. So I'm looking at opening up a retail shop where people can come and have a coffee. They can buy some of our merchandise to support people's dreams. And the person I was with, I was like, I might be working with someone who will help us create AI in this shop so people can walk in, grab a dream hoodie and come out and not have to anybody on the till. They were like, we're going to less employment if we do that, isn't it? I'm like, no. I don't want a human having to take a clothing item off a rack and give it to another human. It's a waste of a human brain.
It goes against
I want that human to be out there having a good life, not stuck in a shitty shop, having to sell someone a hoodie that they will or will not buy anyway.
Yeah.
Right? It's a waste of human brain power, manpower, and energy. But there is a fear, if we go down this technology route, people won't have a job. Well, we don't want slaves.
Yeah.
So good. Let people go out there and live a life, travel, see the world, go on a hike, earn money going on a hike. That's what we want.
That's the thing. That's the thing I say to people as well. If they're constantly just looking at their phones, just swiping away, they're living like a zombie, really. And I think there are so many things that we need to cure. There's so many diseases we've got to look at. There's so many things that we're still discovering about Earth itself. We've been here for so long. And outside of Earth, there's other planets. There's all kinds of things. So, there's so much more that we could do. People's imaginations really need to open up. And they do. They need to see the universe, not just the Earth that we're in.
Totally. And just stuck, oh my God, we're not going to have that job for that person anymore. If it's a shit job, good. Just get rid of the shit jobs so humans aren't dumbed down to do them.
So Simon, you put out a book. I was a fool that I bought it on Kindle. So by the way, whoever is going to get his book, just buy the actual hard copy because then it gets ranked as a bestseller. Much easier that way. But Simon, for those who haven't bought your book, what is it about? How is it going to help them?
So I wanted to write a book where two things. One, people that have a dream and aren't making it happen can figure out how to push through. Because there's a lot of self-sabotage, but there's also a lot of peer pressure and structural pressure in society that makes you not do it. So, for example, you might hear 90% of businesses fail in the first year, and you might think that's perfectly normal. So I better not start a business. It's not true. It's a lie.
Yeah.
23% businesses fail in the first 3 years, 64% of businesses. So I try to go through the stats to make people understand that I have failed both in those stats myself personally. First year, my first business eventually failed. My gardening company eventually failed. Winter came. I made money up until that date. So I still made money even though it failed. Compound learning, the second business lasted 3 years. Again, I still made money every single week until it failed. So people have this impression. And so the book is about removing those for those that have a dream. For those that don't have a dream, it helps you understand how to get there. I want to make knowledge free for people, right? So actually making a book and selling a book's a bit of a mental struggle for me because I know people can't afford £20 for the book. So only buy if you can afford it. And then the profit I get from that book, all the proceeds I personally get from that book, I'm giving away to fund people's dreams. Yep. But I wanted to call the book originally Robin Hood, but it's trademarked apparently. Because I kind of want to, people that can afford to help buy the book and hopefully get something from the book. But those that can't afford it, don't buy the book. I put all my core knowledge up on YouTube for free.
There's a lot of it there.
So you can get knowledge for free. You can go on helpbank.com and get help for free. You don't need to buy the book necessarily to get my knowledge. It will help you, but if you haven't got £20, don't buy it.
Perfect. Last question I'm going to ask you, Simon, is really a question that I think will help a lot of people. Like we mentioned, we've been through ups and downs. There are days that we need to pick ourselves up as well because we're human. How do you personally handle self-doubt? There must be days where you doubt yourself. Am I on the right mission? Do people think I'm crazy? How do you handle that? And I think that advice will help pretty much everybody who has self-doubt as well.
We all have self-doubt, including me. I think a couple of ways to deal with self-doubt. First is momentum. I cannot stop because I'm doing something I enjoy. It's a bit like exercise. If you go to the gym and I think it's 21 days, if you have a habit for 21 days, it's quite hard to change that habit. So if you're doing something positive for 21 days and then you don't go to the gym, you'll feel it. So I think momentum is a big part of it. Of course, I wake up some days and don't want to go to the gym, and some days I wake up and I don't want to work, but momentum. Personally, I have found in business anyway, if I hire someone as quickly as possible in the business, because then I've got a phone call with them at 9 o'clock this morning, so I've got to get up and get on with it. So my brain doesn't let me not move forward. I think on the personal self-doubt, I think I've got my personal mindset to a point where I want to fail at something. It's not I don't want to fail. I think people got to go, let's fail. Because if you understand failure, right? Failure is linked to fear. Fear is a natural instinct in us that was given to us as a gift. I don't know who from. Maybe God. I don't know where the gift came from, but it's a gift. We've got to use it. So a lion's coming towards us. We feel fear, right? It makes us go faster. It makes us think differently. We will outrun a lion, right? Which is crazy.
Yeah.
We'll outthink a lion and we will survive. You're meant to feel fear once a day. And if you can learn to love fear, then you'll learn to love failure, because fear and failure come in hand. If you lean into fear and you fail, you learn. I've learned the most when I failed, right? So I think that's the key to it. People have just got to learn to fail and not mind. And then you won't have self-doubt so much, because even if you've got self-doubt, like, well,
it won't matter.
Worst case scenario, it fails. Best case scenario, I do well. Either way, I win.
That's great. So the way to look at it is, if I fail at what I did, it's a lesson learned, so I still win.
Totally.
And if I get it, then I get it.
Self-doubt's gone after that.
Yeah. Very good advice. Thank you so much, Simon. I appreciate it.
Pleasure.